Good evening, this is Eswatini TV News Bulletin 8, coming to you live from the capital of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Mbabane. My name is Notile Sitole. First up, here's a look at tonight's headlines. The President of the Republic of Botswana, Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi, is in the country to strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries. Meanwhile, President Masisi has paid a courtesy call to Her Majesty the Queen Mother at Auditor Royal Residence. The Ministry of Agriculture says engaging neighboring countries and amending the Stock Theft Act of 1982 can help curb stock theft in the country. And now our bulletin in detail. On a mission to strengthen bilateral relations between the Republic of Botswana and other countries, His Excellency Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi is currently in the Kingdom of Eswatini to strengthen relations between the two countries.
The President of Botswana, His Excellency Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi, before paying a courtesy call on their Majesties, His Excellency landed at the King Mswati III International Airport. His Excellency is accompanied by a few cabinet members, including the Minister of International Affairs and Cooperation, Honorable Dr. Lemogang Kwape. Upon arrival at the airport, His Excellency was received by the Acting Prime Minister, Senator Themba Masuku, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Senator Thuli Dladla. His Excellency is on a weekend visit to strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries. This is the second high-level visit of His Excellency to Eswatini. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia with Tabiso Dlamini at the King Mswati III International Airport.
The President of the Republic of Botswana, His Excellency Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi, paid a courtesy call to Her Majesty the Queen Mother at Auditor Royal Residence.
His Excellency Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi paid a courtesy call on Her Majesty the Queen Mother at Auditor Royal Residence. This follows the landing of the President in the Kingdom. The President has arrived a few weeks after the presentation of the letter of credence by the Ambassador Designate of Botswana to His Majesty King Mswati III. The two countries have long-standing bilateral relations, which began many years ago, immediately after the gaining of independence by Eswatini. They also both value their culture and believe in conserving it for the future generations.
Thank you so much.
Her Majesty presented His Excellency with gifts as a token of appreciation. His Excellency the President also presented Her Majesty with gifts.
That's the first
On the news, I am Polile Mazia at Auditor Royal Residence.
The Minister of Agriculture, Jabulan Mabuza, says engaging neighboring countries, amending the Stock Theft Act, as well as the rehabilitation of boundary fences, or rather fences to name but a few, can curb stock theft. The Minister said this in written response to a motion moved by Eswatini Member of Parliament Mduduzi Mathebula, who wanted to know what government was doing to curb stock theft, as Emaswati are losing millions of emalangeni.
Spokesman Member of Parliament Mduduzi Mathebula is seconded by Mangongo Member of Parliament Wanboy Zigalala. The lawmakers say stock theft in the country is on the increase, so they wanted the Minister of Agriculture Jabulan Mabuza to give a report which details how government intends protecting local livestock farmers from losing millions of emalangeni. In his written responses, Minister Mabuza says in the country, stock theft ranges from petty stock thieves, small-scale commercial, mainly butcheries, and finally large-scale or commercial stock theft run by syndicates. The minister says cross-border cattle rustling is very serious along the western border. The minister suggested that in order to curb stock theft, the country must engage neighboring countries, especially South Africa and Mozambique. He says there should be renewal of the border agreement that includes rehabilitation of border lines. The minister says the amendment of the Stock Theft Act of 1982 can also help curb stock theft. He says sentences for stock theft should be cumulative according to the number of animals stolen, like 2 years for an animal. The minister continued to state that strengthening livestock identification and traceability can also come in handy in curbing stock theft. Minister Mabuza says the rehabilitation of boundary fences can also curb stock theft. He says the country should establish a full-fledged borderline maintenance unit. He says improving operations of the security apparatus can also come in handy. He says the Royal Eswatini Police Services and Eswatini Umbutho Defence Force are fully engaged in curbing stock theft. However, there is a need to enhance their operations. He made an example, like setting up a special unit strictly to curb stock theft. On the National Stock Theft Stakeholder Task Force, the minister says there are many stakeholders involved in curbing stock theft. However, their activities are not coordinated and sometimes may seem like negating each other. Minister Mabuza suggested that a national task force should be appointed to formulate and consolidate strategies against stock theft, among others. Members of Parliament are yet to read the minister's response and ask questions in the future. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muzim Konta, Parliament.
The second phase of the National Labour Survey is expected to commence next week on the 12th of April 2021. This is according to the head of the National Employment Statistics Unit under the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, who says this exercise will help to give the exact picture of how COVID-19 has affected the employment sector.
The first phase of the National Labour Survey was conducted in 2019 and its continuity in 2020 was halted by COVID-19 outbreak. The exercise was expected to be completed next month. However, now it is not clear when it will be completed. The head of National Employment Statistics Unit under the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Thandi Dlamini, says the country was divided into 237 enumeration, but during the second phase, only 12 home states will be visited in this enumeration. Dlamini urges Eswatini to cooperate as the exercise starts next week.
Our plea to Eswatini is to take care of the data collectors as we go out. But please, you know, before you take care of them, ensure that they show you their identities. They will be having some identity letters signed by the authorities of the Ministry of Labour. This identity will have his or her photo, and again there will be some writing telling you that this person is allowed to collect the 2019-2020 survey, labor force survey. And again they will be wearing some t-shirts also written 2019-2020 labor force survey. So our plea to the public is please assist us so that, you know, we are able to know our status as a country, so that we know where do we stand in terms of employment, in terms of unemployment, in terms of COVID, in terms of migration, in terms of, you know, everything that touches, even disability, everything that touches on the working age population or the working population.
Dlamini added that the labour survey will come in handy in coming up with employees' policies which will take their needs. She further states that the survey will also help in making the right decisions regarding workers' issues. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muzim Konta Mbabane.
Over 10 million emalangeni irrecoverable outstanding debts has been disclosed and yet to be written off from government records. This is contained in the report of the Auditor General Timothy Matsebula for the financial year that ended on the 31st of March 2020.
The total amount of the irrecoverable outstanding debt which was disclosed in the notes and said to be written off is 10,900,813 emalangeni. Over 3 million emalangeni of the amount is under the revenue offices. Over 2 million emalangeni from the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, whereas over 400,000 emalangeni is from the Ministry of Health. Over 50,000 emalangeni is under the Ministry of Agriculture, while over 4 million emalangeni is under the Ministry of Enterprise and Employment, and over 300,000 emalangeni is under His Majesty's Correctional Services. The The Auditor General Timothy Matsebula says he warned the Accountant General that amounts owed to government should not be declared irrecoverable without written authority from the Losses Committee. He says it is only the Losses Committee that has authority to evaluate whether debts are recoverable or not. He says this should be after producing evidence to the Losses Committee that numerous attempts have been made to recover those outstanding debts, but in vain. Matsebula says his concern is that recoverable debts may be written off, resulting in government losing revenue. In his response, the Accountant General stated that he communicated with the concerned ministries, requesting them to make recoveries or ask for a write-off for old monies which proved to be unrecoverable. He also added that making the recoveries has proven to be difficult as there are no source documents to assist in the exercise, and this money dates back to 2005. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muzimkonda Mbabane.
The Schools Transport Association has expressed their grievances on the new unstable working conditions following the opening of schools, where children do not attend school the entire week due to the outbreak of COVID-19 and the subsequent regulations that have been put in place by government. The new school calendar has led to a reduced number of children being transported to schools, which has made it difficult to charge parents for the transport. This was said by Zinhlavu Sikonze, chairperson of Schools Transport Association.
Following the introduction of the new school calendar by the government of Eswatini, where students attend schools on different days so as to control the spread of COVID-19, the Schools Transport Association says they are faced with challenges of living below bare minimum to sustain themselves due to the reduced numbers of children being transported to school, mainly because children no longer attend schools 5 days a week.
For 2 days, we mix a school with talk
Chairperson of the Schools Transport Association, Zinhlavu Tlhabati, says this situation calls for an intervention by the government to assist in the matter. Chairperson of Road Transport Association, Sihlangu Tlhabati, says an agreement should be made by parents and the schools to address the situation.
We would like to urge the school owners to sit down and devise a new strategy that will assist parents and that will not make them feel worse than what they were before. We are well aware that there is a school bus association. We will meet with them and try and devise strategies to ensure that things are falling into place and parents are getting the value out of the transport.
The Schools Transport Association is hopeful that an immediate fair resolution will be made since the outbreak of COVID-19 has affected the nation at large. Reporting for Eswatini TV, Nomalungelo Jele with Mbongwa Dube in Mbabane.
The Eswatini Police Service has officially launched a campaign through which it is giving out masks to the Lubombo Region Community Police. The launch was officiated by Wendy Hleta, the Royal Eswatini Police Service Senior Assistant Commissioner, on Tuesday.
On Tuesday at Spofanini constituency, the Eswatini Police Service officially launched giving out of masks to the Lubombo Region Community Police. The giving out of masks in the region started 2 weeks back. Senior Assistant Commissioner Wendy Hleta says community police are very important and should be appreciated. Hleta says they wish for all of the community police to be safe as they execute their duties of ensuring a safe community.
The National Commissioner unelethemba ukuthi nakunabo babe nabo make labafanana nani le live litati feza letinjongo tekokuthi liphephe kuphepha ke kwale live kusho ukundlondlobala kwemnotho welive.
Spofanini constituency headman Mzimela Smelane thanked the Eswatini Police Service for meeting with the community police. Smelane says this meeting is one way of showing that Eswatini will curb the spread of the virus as they are united front in enforcing the COVID-19 regulations.
Ihlaselwe iCovid nje siyadibongela ke ukuthi amaphoyisa yabambisana naso sive ukuthi siyinqobe le COVID.
Mbuso Dlamini, speaking on behalf of the community police, expressed their gratitude and also assured the police that they will continue to put more effort in assuring that their communities do abide by the COVID-19 regulations.
Amaphoyisa mawo kakhulu afuna inhlalakahle yini inhlalakahle yawo unakeka anakwe yini
ngilabo lababhekekile labasembili nguhulumende.
Since the exercise of distributing masks started about 2 weeks ago, the police have distributed 600 masks, including the 400 distributed on Tuesday. Reporting is Tembelihle Makuchwa with Temba Shabangus Pofaneni.
Following allegations that grocery porters in Nhlangano steal from their customers when carrying their goods for them, the president for the Nhlangano Local Grocery Porters Association, Thulani Msibi, says they came up with an idea to make uniforms so that there aren't any questions should a customer's goods go missing. Msibi says the association thanks Member of Parliament of the Eswatini region, Nokuthula Dlamini, who has donated the uniforms.
An increase in allegations by locals against grocery porters that some of them steal their goods has forced the Porters Association to make uniforms so that they are easily identifiable to those that use their services. The president for Nhlangano Porters Association, Thulani Msibi, expressed their gratitude to Shiselweni Member of Parliament Nokuthula Dlamini, who has presented them with working uniforms.
Thina sibolisha basenhlangano siyadibongela lokuthi kube khona umuntu njengamake Nokuthula lolunga leParliament asicabangele ukuthi singakhona lathi kubonakala nje sine uniform ekhombisa ukuthi siyasho umthwalo edolobheni ngoba lilengi nebantu la dolobheni lesiphila abasadi nje ukuthi thina bolisha sisitho kanganani sibonga kakhulu ukuthi nathi sicabangile ukuthi uyabonakala ukuthi wahelwa umuntu
Member of Parliament of the Shiselweni region, Nokuthula Dlamini, says she is happy to see the Porters Association in solidarity to eliminate theft. She says it is for that reason she extended a helping hand.
Uniform ngoba kune bantu labaye bavele la etitolo bathathele bantu labadzala imithwalo nabefika emarenkini sebalahlekile abasatholakala ukuthi babheke kuphi bese licala libuya ngakubo kuba ngazuthi ngibo labagangile kanti bese kumathamela ngoti kwase kuyabonakala ukuthi badocela le uniform badokhona loku identifyeka babonakala ukuthi nangiyena lokungiyena
Dlamini urged those that commit theft and then smear it on grocery porters. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Sifiso Nxumalo with Muva Shongwe in Nhlangano.
The Federation of Persons with Disabilities in the country has raised concerns about the welfare and priority of people living with disabilities regarding their COVID-19 vaccination. The concern was raised by Botswana President Sipho Dlamini during an interview with Eswatini TV News.
Since the vaccination rollout has begun in the country, which was started by vaccinating health workers, followed by elderly people above 60 years of age and those with comorbidities, President of Persons with Disabilities Sipho Dlamini says the association is very much concerned about their welfare because in most cases they are left behind, yet they are also vulnerable.
We're really concerned about this exercise, that it has again excluded persons with disabilities. It's quite worrying when government forgets about this and forget about persons with disabilities and continue carrying out such exercises and interventions.
EPI manager from the Ministry of Health, Kolisiwe Dlamini, says at present people who are vaccinating are the elderly people above 60 years of age and those with comorbidities, and these include the persons with disabilities who are above 60 years and those with comorbidities, but those who are not having chronic illnesses must wait for their turn to vaccinate.
If you are old, you will go with the old. If you have comorbidities, you still come with the group, that is the elderly plus the comorbidities, you go there. And then if you are a health worker, you will go to that part where so if you find a person working in that facility and has a disability, we don't exclude that person. He is part or she is part of our services.
Dlamini further urged persons with disabilities to wait for their turn except for those above 60 years and those with comorbidities. For Eswatini TV News, Zodwa Dlamini Thumbonga Dube in Babane.
More than 5 health workers in the country have been awarded for their dedication in serving the nation during the COVID-19 outbreak in the country. The health workers will spend a weekend at Sibebe Resort as a reward for their efforts. The awards had been organized by Eswatini Medics during an event held at Destiny Music in Mbabane.
After realizing the role that has been played by frontline workers in the fight against COVID-19 in the country, including healthcare workers, Eswatini Medics is now awarding health workers for working day and night in ensuring that they save many lives of Eswatini during the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. More than 5 healthcare workers have been awarded a weekend away at Sibebe Resort, where they will also get a free psychological support. The health workers are Dr. Ndogozo Dube from Mbabane Government Hospital, Tepsile Dlamini Enes from Hlangano Healthcare Center, Zimbili Mvubu, a paramedic from EPR Department, and Kelly Shaw, an allied health worker from Pilani Pharmacy. Eswatini Medics Director Anosi Pomlotsa says this is a way of commending the frontline workers for doing a great job in saving many lives, regarding that they were also at high risk of being infected by the virus.
Eswatini Medics 0911, we took the initiative to reward frontline workers. Today, five categories were drawn as voted by the public. So the initiative was, or the point of it was for the public to be the ones that vote for the individuals. So each person was allowed to vote for as many people as they please. So we pledged the public for the next coming initiative, which will be in the month end of this month, April. And we're also still looking for sponsors to be on board with partnering with this initiative. Today we're able to draw 5 categories, which are doctors, nurses, paramedics, support staff, and allied staff workers.
Other frontline workers to be rewarded on the 4th of May include the police, correctional services officers, fire and emergency personnel, and workers from the mortuaries. For Eswatini TV News, Zodwa Dlamini with Mbonga Dube, Mbabane.
Good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Here's a look at our sports news. The Minister for Sports, Harris Bulunga, says sports play a huge role in development and peacekeeping in the world. The Minister was speaking on Eswatini TV's Kusile Breakfast Show on International Day for Sports Development and Peace.
In 2013, the United Nations launched the International Day of Sports Development and Peace, which is a day that seeks to bring awareness to the role that the sport can play in society. The day is also officially recognized by the Olympics movement. The day is internationally celebrated all over on the 6th of April every year. The Eswatini Minister for Sports, Harris Bulunga, says indeed sports can change the lives of many people in many ways.
Temidlalo tidlala indima lenkulu ekuthuthukiseni impilo tebantu nje phinze bebhedele kuthula umhlaba wonke. Kokucala nje umuntu angasho ukuthi kudlala umdlalo lothide noma kule midlalo le formal noma.
Bulunga says sport has a big role to play in the development of people's life in general, and that being active in any form of sport is a human right that should be respected all over. And the United Nations recognizes that, hence they decided to celebrate this day. And sports come in many forms, which is why they encourage everyone to be involved in any form of sport.
Bathuthuke empilweni phinze kuhlale kunekuthula. Sitawati ukuthi imidlalo ichamuka ngetingoni letahlukahlukene futhi mina ngakhulu uyakhethela nje ukuthi wena ucabanga ukuthi ngimuphi lo ngakulungela.
Bulunga says sports can also help to keep everyone fit, more especially now during the times where one needs to be physically fit to be able to fight the virus. He concluded by encouraging everyone to keep exercising. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizwe Msibi with Linda Dlamini, Mbabane.
Former Mbabane Highlanders and now Malawian head coach, or rather Malawian national team head coach Meke Mwase says Sihlangu players need some motivation to be able to perform better. Mwase helped Malawi to qualify for the AFCON 2021.
Sihlam Semnika did not perform well in the AFCON 21 qualifiers, where in Group I, they couldn't win even a single game. In a telephonic interview with former Babane Highlanders coach Mike Mwase, who is now the head coach of the Malawi national team and has helped them to qualify for the AFCON Cup, says what Eswatini should do is to motivate the players one way or the other.
We lack to motivate the players, because it's the players that will make a country qualify for any competition that is there. So, what I would like to see in Swaziland, just as Malawi, is to motivate the technical panel and the players, so that they work very hard to qualify for any competition that is there.
Mwasa added that having international players can also help the country.
When you export the players to other countries, it's also very important, because they also come and they learn much more things better than the ones who are at home. So it gives that edge for players to learn more, and it gives them also the motivation, as the one I'm talking about. It's a very great motivation if a player goes and plays professional in another country.
He concluded by saying he still wishes to come back to Eswatini and coach again, as he had a good time when he was here. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizwe Msibi with Linda Dlamini, Babane.
Well, Eswatini, that is all we had for you this evening. Before we conclude, let's have a look at tonight's headlines. The President of the Republic of Botswana, Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi, is in the country to strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries. Meanwhile, President Masisi has paid a courtesy call to Her Majesty the Queen Mother at Auditor Royal Residence. The Ministry of Agriculture says engaging neighboring countries and amending the Stock Theft Act of 1982 can help curb stock theft in the country. And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team here at Eswatini TV. As always, thank you for watching. Good night.